Okay, so for week 9 of fall anime, very exciting week. All these shows just popped off, emotional wise, story wise. I really enjoyed this week. I dropped some shows actually. The main ones are Noblesse and Danmachi. I realized I was watching too many shows, so I dropped a few. Maybe I'll come back to them. And let's get started. So for Akudama Drive episode 9, very action-packed episode, and a lot of focus on Swindler becoming a real Akudama. So we start off with the doctor. She actually has sex with Hoodlum. So yeah, pretty lucky guy Hoodlum. He was a common criminal and now he's deep in there. So we get a bit about Doctor's motivation, where Hoodlum asks her, do you want to discover the key of immortality by experimenting on those immortal kids? And then Doctor says, no, I don't want immortality, I want control. So like her whole life she wants to control things. That's why like she studies medicine and surgery and stuff. She wants to learn about like the cells and body and how to control stuff. So she's not really focused on immortality. She's very experiment heavy, and if something exists, she wants to control it. So after that, Swindler and Courier get ready to go to the executioner building in order to rescue the big brother. And we get some cute moments with Swindler and the little sister just hanging out. The little sister is developing her own personality now, where she's cute, tries to protect Swindler, and then copies her, and makes fun of Courier sometimes. They call each other like pieces of shit and stuff, and then, hey, don't call her a piece of shit, she's not a piece of shit. So yeah, they have a cute back and forth. Swindler makes a troll post on like some internet forum that basically states that she and the Akudama will take over control of the city. And then like the people of Kansai just kind of start a revolution, like a lynch mob. They start killing random Akudama on the street. They're just like not big offenders, they're just like random people. Similar to what happened in America this year. So yeah, this civil unrest was just waiting to happen, and then Swindler writing this troll post is just another domino to like knock down everything to get this revolution happening. I guess like the civil unrest was always there with like class differentials. Maybe people hated this cyberpunk type of world. So Swindler and Courier go to the executioner building. Inside they meet Cutthroat, who makes an appearance. He can track Swindler because she has this red halo around her, which is basically kind of like her evilness. So like the fact that she actually murdered people now is like making it so her red halo is like the strongest. And then Cutthroat can just see like the evilness in people. That's why he fell in love with Swindler, because he knew she had this evilness inside of her that was just like waiting to burst out. And then he wanted to kill her when she was the most evil. It's kind of like a Hisoka and Gon thing from Hunter x Hunter, where Hisoka wanted to see Gon grow before beating him. They're on a time limit trying to go to the top floor before the big brother gets helicoptered away. So then Cutthroat fights Courier and Swindler. Courier gets knocked out a bit, so it's just Swindler running away, trying to get out of there, trying not to get killed. There's a cool here's Johnny moment in the bathroom. It was like very tense and creepy. Cutthroat just everywhere can follow Swindler to the ends of the earth. And yeah, this poor girl is trying to run away. She hides in the weapon storage, and this is like pretty smart, so she locks the door, and then Cutthroat is there waiting. And then she opens the door. She's like, okay, I'll let you in. Don't kill me. She sneaks up on the door and takes like the laser sword the executioner has and stabs him in the leg. He doesn't go down though, and he chokes her. But then she still has the sword equipped, so while she's getting choked, she stabs him in the heart. And yeah, that's the end of Cutthroat. And Swindler caught another body to add to her body count. So yeah, now we have 2 Akudama dead, Brawler and Cutthroat. They will be missed because they had some cool personalities. So then after that they reach the roof. Swindler comes in with Courier and the little sister. But then it's too late. The big brother gets taken away by a helicopter. We see the 2 executioners, the girl with the eye patch, and then her partner. So it's an exciting episode where we're getting plot spread out, where, oh, there's civil unrest in the city, the Cutthroat just dies, Swindler's becoming more Akudama-like, little brother gets taken away, so all the remaining Akudama will probably converge onto his location. Excited to see the show pop off. 3 more episodes left, I'm assuming. Okay, so for the Wandering Witch, episode 10. I'm not sure why I put this episode up so high. I guess it's just like a nice watch. Just like all these episodes of Majo no Tabitabi just feel so good to consume. We get some backstory on the 2 teachers of Saya and Elena. So you remember the Night Witch from episode 8? She was blonde, and then the Stardust Witch, that was Elena's teacher. They go on vacation together, And then before the Night Witch goes on vacation, she gives Saya a job to deliver this box to the City of Freedom. It was like an old evidence thing that they wanted to analyze. Saya is headed to the City of Freedom while the Night Witch and the Stardust Witch go on vacation. So the Night Witch is pretty laid back and chill. She likes to smoke too, and she's kind of like the blonde delinquent anime type of personality. She has like her broom and then she's just chilling, like reclined while riding the broom. And while the Stardust Witch seems to be more normal, but like she has her own like personality quirks where she's like kind of like a troll. While they're sailing through the sky on their brooms, they talk about how, oh, we're good friends now, but we used to hate each other. And this is why. So when they were younger, the Stardust Witch, Fran, she had a teacher. Her teacher looks like an older version of Elena. So I'm assuming this girl is Nikkei. Like she has like the white hair, the same black and pink magical robe setup. And then, yeah, she's just like kind of like mommy version of Elena, I guess. And one day the teacher tells Fran she's thinking of getting another apprentice. So yeah, Fran is kind of like reluctant, but yeah, she approves because yeah, why not? So the apprentice is the Night Witch Sheila. She's blonde hair and she's very kind of aggressive and rude. Fran is very like, she likes to follow the rules and do things like by the book. And Shayla is very delinquent like, so yeah, they start getting into it. They mix like oil and water, so they're constantly fighting. So they head to the town of Freedom to go on a mission from the Magic Association to capture the Curio Company. And the Curio Company is a bunch of like normal people with no magical powers, and then they keep assaulting and harassing witches, breaking their wands, like attacking them, defaming them, and robbing people. So yeah, their mission is to stop the Curio Company. And then the reason Curio Company can just fight witches is because they have these magical weapons that can do stuff like make illusions or like guns that can shoot infinite bullets. They're running amok with these magical weapons. So then the teacher and Fran and Shayla, they're tasked to stop them. The teacher tells both Fran and Shayla, if you can't stop the Curio Company, then I'm kicking you out. So yeah, both of the girls want to catch the company so the other girl will get kicked out and they don't want to deal with them anymore. So Fran and Shayla are out on the town, just looking for like the Curio group people. Fran finds one, she easily dispatches him, takes his sword. And Shayla comes and says, hey, that's my target, I was just using you to get to him. They start arguing and sabotaging each other, and then like the target that they try to capture runs away. So this keeps happening, and in a few days they make no progress. There's a bounty on their heads, but yeah, they have captured none of the Curio group. So the next day, Fran goes into like a cafe where she meets the leader of the Curio group. And then she's now surrounded. All the cafe customers are part of the Curio group. And then, yeah, they put a sack on her head and capture her. They take Fran to their hideout. And we realize that Shayla is also captured. So both these girls are very similar where, yeah, they try to be independent and hate each other. And now they're in the same situation, just captured and tied up by the Curio group. But this was all just part of their plan. They have knives in their leggings, so they just pull it out, cut off their hand ropes. And they're pretty good at hand-to-hand combat. Their teacher taught them like a few things. So Shayla attacks, gives the wand to Fran, and then they both just destroy all the Curio group people, and yeah, now they're under arrest. Yeah, they finally get to talk to each other, finally understand why each other became a witch. Shayla was homeless, and she just used her magic to rob people to like eat. And she never knew what witches were. She just used her power for like survival. And then one day she tried to rob the teacher, and then she easily stopped her and then took an interest in her. And now like she's the apprentice. So yeah, her being a witch was only just for like survival. It wasn't really like for a deeper meaning. Also, Fran has a similar story where nobody in her town was a witch. So she was like, hey, if I become a witch, I'll be unique. And then it's like it's also like a self-interest related goal. So both these girls realize that yeah, they're not that deep as people and they shouldn't really argue. They're actually pretty similar and they become friends. And yeah, that's the story of Shayla and Fran, the Night Witch and the Stardust Witch. And oh yeah, this is how they got their names. So the teacher likes to name people after their hair color. And she named Shayla the Night Witch because she's blonde. And she names Fran the Stardust Witch because she has black hair. So it's like they're opposites. So she has blonde hair but is the Night Witch, and Stardust is colorful but then she has black hair. So it's like the opposites attract kind of like lesson being taught, or that even if they're apart, they're still together. And that's related to their apprentices Elena and Saya, because they also got their witch names through their hair color. And yeah, they sum up their backstories. As they go on vacation, Shayla realizes that in the beginning, when she gave Saya the box to deliver, that box was actually related to the Curio group. So that box might have some magical artifact or something dangerous in there. So then they stop their vacation and they run off to the City of Freedom. So I guess next episode we'll continue on to the City of Freedom. And maybe all of these witches will get to meet each other. It might be very memes. Okay, so for Jujutsu Kaisen episode 10, we start off with the cursed spirit Mahito and the bully kid Yoshino just hanging out together in a sewer. And Yoshino describing how, oh, the guy that said, oh, if you ignore bullies, they'll go away. Yeah, that doesn't work. And then Mahito replies telling him about people's souls. That their soul isn't anything special. It's just like it is what it is. It's just your body. So like the soul is a machine, the body is a machine, and there's no like deeper meaning to it. This gives Mahito his villain motivation. He can see like inside people's souls. He can see like kind of the fabric that they're made out of. And the fact that people's souls and bodies are basically just like machines, it gives him the right to do whatever he wants. So then Mahito's power is idol transfiguration. He can just manipulate people's souls. If he touches you, he can put his cursed energy into you and then like just change the shape of your soul. So then you can turn into like this like grotesque monster. So he does a lot of human experimentation where he just like changes their souls to be like disgusting, suffering beings. So yeah, pretty scary villain. So then after that, there's like a two-parter in this episode where Yuji chases after Yoshino to get the down low on if he knows about cursed spirits and what happened in the movie theater. And then Kento fighting Mahito in the sewers. So we'll start off with Yuji and Yoshino. So they kind of develop a friendship because Yoshino's teacher, he's kind of like an asshole adult. But then Yuji comes in to save the day. He pants the teacher and runs away and then meets back up with Yoshino. So yeah, Yoshino finally kind of has a friend in Yuji, even though they're both like from different sides. Even though Yoshino is part of like the evil group and Yuji is part of like the good group, they seem to be like developing a friendship. They'll probably progress, and then when they find out about each other, they might have to fight. And then the fight with Kento and Mahito was pretty cool. Mahito seems to be really strong, kind of like Gojo Satoru level, where he's very relaxed and chill. He's fighting, he's happy. He doesn't really take it too seriously. And yeah, his ability, Idol Transfiguration, if he gets his hands on Kento, then he can just like manipulate his soul and just like change him into a monster. So yeah, Kento gets like touched, but then he uses his power to reverse the soul manipulation. So yeah, it's like a tense fight where if he gets touched multiple times, then it's over for him. But yeah, Kento still has his cleaver power where he can make a critical strike. And then the episode ends with them like kind of being even. And then Kento imbuing his body with cursed energy and he's saying like, oh, I'm going to overtime now. So yeah, the fight will continue next episode and we'll see if Kento really got that juice to beat Mahito. Okay, so for Sports Climbing Girls, episode 10. We start off learning a new climbing technique, speed climbing, which is a new level of competition. It's in the name, but yeah, it's how fast you can climb a 15-meter wall. And yeah, it requires a lot of lower body strength and arm strength to just jump high and grab the proper handholds, as well as having the endurance to do it. So this is the first time Konomi is experiencing this type of climbing, and it's one of the 3 competitions in the combined Japanese high school cup, along with bouldering and then classic problem solving. So it's very important for her to learn this. The average times you need to beat this competition for high school girls is like around 12 seconds. But yeah, Konomi is doing like maybe 20, 18-second climbs. So yeah, she has to cut her time off by a lot. And this type of climbing, it takes a lot out of you when you do it, so you can't keep doing it multiple times in a row since you're just going to be tired the first time. Since it's like a sprint, it's not an endurance thing. Also, Jun returns. We saw her get her mojo back last episode. She discovered, how she loved climbing before. And yeah, her and Konomi are training together. They do some leg hurdles for lower body strength. They do some medicine ball throws for arm strength. So yeah, it's cool. They're showing like new exercises you can do to improve your climbing skills and your general weight training. Very informative there. So then all the first year students go into this training camp set up by like the commentator guy from the previous competition. He had those glasses and the sharp red suit. He was very critical in people's climbing skills. And then a lot of the first year girls confront Konomi because they acknowledge that she's really strong at climbing. So Yeah, it's just her talking to a lot of first year girls. There was Oba, the ballerina girl, who doesn't want to lose to Konomi again. There's Sato, the green haired girl, who is very good at analyzing stuff, and then, yeah, she ends all her sentences in like Deiansu. And then there's also the cat lady Akane. So all of them are there and they do the speed climbing walls together. Konomi gets down to 17 seconds, which is still not good enough. You want to try to get sub 15, 12 ideally. So then she gets some tips from the guy who organized this training camp. He says, oh, I invited all these girls together. You can take their techniques, learn from one another. It's like a unique experience because this is where you can actually pick up people's skills. And it's a typical sports anime kind of thing where the person goes to the training camp and gets new techniques from other people. Konomi actually uses her murder observation to analyze people's climbing skills. You see how Oba has perfect posture that allows her to navigate the walls very cleanly. And then the green-haired girl has a lot of like information and knowledge, so she's jumping on specific paths that are like calculated to be the best. And then she tries climbing the wall with all this new information, new techniques, but then her time increases to 18 seconds. She's all dejected where she tried hard to improve her time. Now she just set herself back because it's even worse than before. So Oba, the ballerina girl, kind of brags to her in the shower. And then Konomi just cries. It's not the normal Konomi we saw before. Now she's just crying because she thinks she won't make it and then she's just wasting her time here. So then Oba slaps her because she's like, this isn't the Konomi I wanted to beat. Konomi kind of gets an awakening from her bad headspace of how she's like failing to do the speed climbing. But yeah, it's because she jumbled everyone's moves together. You have to develop the moves yourself. Like, you can take inspiration from others, but if you just copy-paste them, it might not be suited for you. So that takes time and analysis to actually develop the moves to be suited to yourself. Now that Konomi knows this, she'll be more patient and take other people's moves to copy more carefully. So after she gets this new character growth moment, we see a new climbing competitor come through. It's a blonde tomboy girl, and she finishes climbing in 12 seconds. She just like jumps and shoots up really fast. I'm really excited to see how this new girl will expand on the current roster. Okay, so for The Day I Became a God, episode 9. This was kind of a very emotional episode. Just, we learned so much. This is actually like the main turning point in the story, I think. So it starts off with the hacker guy, Suzuki, tasked on a mission to find this new quantum computer that was developed by Hina's grandfather. He did a cool visual where he's like swimming in an ocean to try to find data, and then he's like fishing for data, like literally there's like whales and goldfish. Very kind of interesting way to see his data hacking power. He gets some important information in this research. He finds out that Dr. Kurogi, he invented a quantum computer and he put it inside Hina, and it helped her body not degrade through the Logos syndrome. That's how Hina knows everything. She has a quantum chip inside of her. It can literally predict everything that's happening in the world. So yeah, that's why she knows everything. And then we also get this guy's backstory where his parents were criminals and then they kind of abused him because he didn't want to be a criminal. And then one day his parents were murdered. And then he's like laughing like, yeah, you deserve it. This is what you get for bringing me in this world and not taking care of me. So yeah, very dark by him. He kind of is being used by a lot of people, his parents and his employers. So yeah, he kind of just wants to do good. So he conveys a message to Hina, and then she realizes it. And now she kind of has more memories about her grandfather. She finds out that yeah, she is the quantum computer, and that the end of the world is basically only her end of the world, not anyone else's. So basically she's gonna die in the 30 days, and I think there's only 3 days remaining. This is kind of because like the powers that be, like the government, they don't want her computer chip to be used for evil. Like the world isn't ready for that type of computational power yet. It's kind of like being a god, just like knowing everything. They want to extract the chip from her and just like hide it until the world is ready. And then yeah, Hina knows there's like no escape from this. All paths lead to her being captured at the end. This is where Yota makes his move. He tries to escape with Hina, but he can't. He admits that he loves her, but in the end, a bunch of dudes with suits go and take her away. A very emotional climax happening here. Hina's being taken away. She might die soon, and Yota admitting his true feelings is very sad. So I really love this episode, and I'm excited to see like where it can go from here. It can go like in 50 different areas. We could have a time skip, or we can have like a surprise twist that no one saw coming. But yeah, very cool development in this series. Okay, so for Higurashi, When They Cry, episode 10. Another kind of unsettling episode. We start off with Keiichi, and he's having a dream of beating up Satoko's uncle. Like, he has like a baseball bat and is just like taking him out of his motorcycle. So yeah, that might be one of like the bad ends. And then after he wakes up, he goes to school. All the people realize that Satoko isn't here today. She usually goes into school with Rika. Rika is just sad and says Satoko won't be here today. And then there's the detective guy, Oishi. We see him in this arc that he's looking for Satoko. And then he kind of like bullies Keiichi a bit. He like grabs his shoulder really hard and hurts Keiichi. And then Keiichi gets rescued by the school doctor. And after that, we get Satoko's backstory from all the girls. They tell us that once Satoko's parents died, their uncle and aunt basically like just took their money. And then after that, they beat her and her brother. Satoko was living this life of abuse after her parents died. Child services couldn't really save them because they're all like, oh, we'll look into it. So after that, her aunt got killed by like some dude with a baseball bat. So the uncle thought this was the Oyashiro-sama curse. So he ran away from the village. So that's why Satoko lives with Rika now, and now she's happy because she's not getting abused anymore. But yeah, now the uncle is back, so that's very dangerous now. Also, we get some detail where the detective Oishi, he seems to be always on the case of the Oyashiro-sama curse. So he's like kind of described as a Oyashiro-sama familiar, trying to create order in this town. And in this arc, he seems to be kind of a dick to Keiichi since Keiichi's not cooperating with him. So it shows he can have multiple feelings towards you depending on how you interact with him. Satoko's brother Satoshi isn't here, so she's getting abused even harder. There are a lot of sad me noises from Rika, which was like pretty cute. The next day, Satoko doesn't show up to school, and then the teacher tries to intervene. But then yeah, the uncle doesn't let the teacher see Satoko. Like, he just says, oh, she's sick, and he just slams the door in her face. And we find out that one time Satoko, like, prank called child services on her dad. So that's why child services doesn't take her seriously on her uncle. Because, like, she made a fake call before. She's just stuck with being abused. The next day, Satoko actually shows up to school. And she acts normal, like, everything's fine, she's happy, they're eating lunch together. And then Keiichi makes a joke, and then, like, he tries to pat Satoko on the head. And then she slaps his hand away. So it was like the typical sign of abuse where you're scared of someone hitting you, so you reactively slap their hand away. And now all her trauma comes out. She gets like a PTSD episode at school. And then she's like, oh, don't hit me, I'm sorry. She's just in the classroom panicking, vomiting, just like saying sorry. And it was so disturbing seeing her cry and have a mental breakdown in school. No one can really stop her. And yeah, we end the episode there with Satoko just like crying, vomiting, and it was like so crazy. I wonder what will happen next episode, because Uncle seems to be the next target for Keiichi. So for Haikyuu to the Top, Season 2, Episode 10, very close game between Karasuno and Inarizaki. The score is like in favor of Inarizaki by a bit, but Karasuno keeps making moves. Hanako does a good offensive move, and then the ace also slams it down pretty hard. And it's showing how like the supporting characters like Daichi, the captain, he's there to help Hinata and Kageyama grow. He's just trying to control the tempo so they can comfortably go into their offense. And yeah, it also shows how Hinata can grow with Kageyama there, where you don't need your opponents to help you grow. Your allies can also help you grow. So he makes a cool save with his leg. And then they get a break point where now it's like 26-25. So very close score, 1-point game. First to get 2 up will win. So yeah, a lot of emotions will be high. I expect next episode will be the conclusion. And the episode after that will set up the next opponent. So for Fire Force Season 2, Episode 23, Shinra and Captain Hibana go visit Konro and Asukasa because they want to know why he has like a Adela link. Maybe he's related to the Evangelist. So they visit him and they see him talking to like a white-clad dude. And then he just uses his katana and fucking slices him up. Konro's a good guy, and then we realize that the demon that he fought when he got his Tephirosis, it was actually a doppelganger of himself. And he gave him a scar on his nose. And yeah, the existence of doppelgangers are there. It's like the Adela world has like a doppelganger of yourself, which is like how the world perceives you. So yeah, kind of like interesting plot point there. There's just like doppelgangers that exist, but we don't really know too much about them, except that they're coming from the Adela world. So after that, we get like a cool training arc where Benimaru tries to teach Shinra, Arthur, and Tamaki how to become stronger, how to like kind of unlock their ultimate finishing moves. Tamaki is playing with Hika and Hina, trying to like outrun them. It's like they're playing tag, and then Hika and Hina are really strong, so Tamaki's struggling. But yeah, she's trying to unlock her full potential, so she cannot be like a joke anymore.